Aloha, this is Laksmi-Ditton. Just a moment, I'll just get this going. Aloha, this is Laksmi-Ditton, and today is the day for the live, which I promised yesterday, about the 4 elements. Yesterday we had quite a long session with the Estonian fans, and we talked about the 4 elements. And the 4 elements which I'm going to talk about are the fire, water, earth, and air. And these elements are connected to the new time energies. And if you have never ever heard about the new time energies, then it's connected to the indigo children, crystal children, golden children, and these energies started to come through our children. In 1995, the first indigo children were born, and later the crystal and crystal golden children has been following. So if you have been born before 1987 or in the time period from 1987 to 1995, you can go through aura adjustment throughout this period of time, or before 1987, aura transformation or aura mediation. So this will activate the 4 elements inside of your body, mind, spirit in ways which you didn't have maybe experienced before. So I went through my aura transformation in like 12 years ago. And since then, my elements have been integrating themselves for like at least 2 or 3 rounds. And what happened was the first time, it just went through all the elements kind of slightly, almost like snorkeling over it. And the second time, like kind of a little deeper. And the third time, like really to the bottom and the core. Because we need to really learn how to integrate all these elements into our whole being. So once we go through or kind of upgrade ourselves into the new energies, what happens is that one of the main missions or goals is actually to focus on your life mission. And once you start to focus on your life mission or figuring out what that is, what happens is that you actually start to activate your passions, and your passions are feeding your fire. And when your fire is fed, then your water gets warm, and then you can boil, all kinds of things. And then as you start to create these things, usually also the air element plays in with different ideas and knowledge, and then you make it into a nice something, whatever it is your passion and life mission is. And then after that, you basically formalize it into an earthly form, whether it's a service or product or whatever it is. So in such a way, it's a really nice way to put things together and actually activate all your elements. The difference is that once you start to know how your own personal elements are working, how you can use them in order to live your life mission more fully, and also how to make it serve you so that you can also actually receive abundance. And I saw someone is sending a little thumb up. I don't know who is here. So if you can just say aloha, I think maybe Kersti. Anyways, aloha. Very good to have you here. And so today I thought to go through, to introduce you the elements, how I have been experiencing them myself. And I go through a couple of different categories, so you can also practice it and kind of look into your own life, how it's working or not working, and then what you can do to change it. So if in general we talk about the elements, so here when we talk about the fire, it's usually not only the living fire, which is, it can be a candle or a fire outside or a fireplace fire. So it's also people who are very passionate, and they are so passionate and also sometimes very charismatic, so that when you meet them, you feel like something is really like triggered inside of you, and you would like to really, you know, give it, it kind of influences other people, and then it motivates also other people, so they may start to do things because of that, because they just like got ignited by that other person's fire. And then we have water element, which is connected to beautifully to the feminine energies, and also the flow, the emotions. It's a lot to do with softness in life and learning how to be flexible as well. So water element is going to be one of the leading elements in the new times. So it's really good to get to know this element inside out. So, and then next we have the earth element, which is of course connected to soil, Mother Earth, our bodies, also food. You can support your earth element not only by being and walking barefoot, but also putting your hands into the soil, but also getting a massage can be a really good earth element activation. And also like working with structures and systems, and also anything to do with masculine is also, or the male energy is also very much connected to the earth element. And then we have the air element, which is connected oftentimes to, of course, the fresh air, but it's also for movement, traveling, knowledge, ideas. This is all where this kind of comes in. So many of these elements are very familiar for most people, but if oftentimes they come to the session with me, we go through all these elements, and it comes out oftentimes that they are completely off balance, or they are not fed at all, or maybe one is overfed and the other ones are like kind of, starving. So our purpose here should be actually to feed all these elements all the time, so that basically they could also feed us and also feed our life mission, so that it could also give us abundance, so that we could like create a new flow in our life and start to do more of why we are here. So all these new time kids and also adults now who are in this new energy, they at some point they can't actually do anything which is not authentic or which is not connected to their life mission. That is why so many kids nowadays are actually quitting school, especially if it's the old time school, because it just doesn't fit with their energy systems or the way they are actually here to learn. It's not also connecting to their elements. So it's very important to then see if there is a possibility for alternatives, like more alternative schooling or even homeschooling, so that you can support these new time kids in a more better way for them. And as adults, so one of the things connected then to the life mission is that basically it is becoming really important. So oftentimes very many people may live their lives before that, like kind of, okay, I have to pay my bills, so I have to work, and then they work maybe and do something they actually hate. And that's always, if you do something you hate, you actually are wasting your energy and also your life force, because your energy actually is here to fulfill the mission and do what you are here to do. And oftentimes people ask me, like, Krista, what do you mean with that? And like, how do I know? Like, I'm not psychic yet, or I can't really read my own energy. So one way is to find an aura mediator who could help with like what kind of pops up. Another thing is to go through the aura mediation process, so that you will be upgraded and your spirit and your body starts to melt together, and that information may pop up over time. So for me, all these 12 years after Auratransformation has been a huge adventure to figuring out my elements and how they are connected to my character, and also how they are connected to actually my life mission. So if you have been following me for some time, you have maybe noticed that there are two elements which are like the main leading elements for me. And one of them is air element, another one is water element. So if my air element gets fed, I get to travel around, meet people, adventure a little bit, like collect information or whatever, and then put it into some format or package and then deliver it further or share with people. Then both of my elements are activated. If I'm also now doing it in such a way that my life mission is activated, then it kind of all comes together in a beautiful way so that it kind of supports, and also abundance comes back to me. So it also, when my air element and water element are in action, they feed the fire element, which then helps me to actually manifest into the form what I need at that time, into money, abundance, or anything else, because then all of the elements come together. So it's really interesting. It oftentimes doesn't necessarily go like from A to B to C to D. It may go like kind of all over the place because this is like connected to your character as well. So and then when we talk about the life mission, so in my case, like I figured out that my fire element gets really ignited when I do energy work with people, and when I do it like one to one, so that I can hold their feet or like be in physical contact with them. And also when I started to do Tantra, because this is also connected to passion. And also sexual energies. So that kind of ignited my fire as well. And then also all kinds of mediation, whether it's information or teaching, all these kind of things are really supporting my fire element as well. And also being around with fire people is very, very like supportive. And then secondly, water element, I got into water therapy, which like I actually am celebrating 10-year anniversary since I started with water work here in Hawaii in 2009. So that has been a major journey. My own water modality, Mantra, water and Tantra put together came out of it, has been a major thing, especially for people who have water fear. And I will come back to the elements and fear in a little bit. And then earth element has been everything to do also with the body, grounding system, structure. I have rebuilt many things in the last year, so it has been really challenging but interesting process. And then also, of course, the air element, which is directly connected a lot to also energy work, but also can be other things as well, like all kinds of knowledge and teaching, and also learning myself can be connected to that. So when you are starting to discover your life mission in the new energy, it doesn't need to be only one thing. It can be 4 or 5 different things. And if you saw our Easter video there, I also put the message like, start to put your eggs into different baskets. And this is the new time energies way of working. So creating different income streams so that it has different abilities to channel your talents and gifts and whatever you are here to do. So, and it's super important, because if we don't do this, then the new time energy can actually kind of like, almost like block all kinds of flow, so that you would not go back to the survival mode, but figure out ways how you can make this work so that it would work all the time, and also more and more like on your terms. Like, what are those terms? Like, where would you like to live and work? And, all of those details you have to go through and figure it out yourself. That's why for me, in 2011, I left Estonia and I traveled for basically 7 years with no home base, which gave me a lot of opportunities to get to know myself. Where is my home? Who am I? what are my talents and gifts and how to put them to work so that I could go from one place to another and also sustain myself, and not only also to thrive. And these adventures brought me to many different places. Different places have also different energies. Like I lived quite many years in Mexico, where crystal energy was very, supported and active. So that energy helped me to integrate several topics and themes, also with my elements. So, and that's also where Mantra got to us like a new level, because I was following my inner guidance, which came to work with that. So till to the next point where I actually went to the earth element to do all my paperwork there, become the resident, become the working permit holder, and also starting to work in different hotels with my water therapy, which is amazing that you are even able to bring such a thing like a alternative thing into a kind of commercial corporate world like that. So that worked out pretty good. And because I lived by the ocean, I could go into the ocean and swim as often as I could and do all kinds of water sports, sailing and canoe. I had a kayak there at that time. So all of these things came together in a very nice way. So with lots of challenges too. So sometimes it's necessary. So, and then figuring out also, okay, so these are the elements for my life mission, figuring out my character kind of characteristics. So I'm pretty much very outgoing. So I have lots of fire element, and as I said, air and water. So I'm kind of flowing a lot, and I need that spontaneity. And when I have an idea, I need to like kind of go and implement it and make it work. So if I suppress those things, I suppress my air element. And if I suppress my air element, then my fire element gets also down, because as we know, no air, and then you can't really make a fire. So all of the elements are very interconnected and dependent on each other. So let's take, for example, earth element. If the earth doesn't get water, it will dry out and crack, So all of the elements are connected and, working with each other. So the same thing, if you think of what kind of training to choose, so it's the same. So in my case, like I do canoe paddling, so like snorkeling, free diving. I do hula dance. So hula dance is earth element, air element, water element all in one. And because I also do it with passion, I also have the fire element. And then I do aerial silks, which is all about the air element. So I'm hanging on the silks and trying to figure out, like, how to make this thing work. And then also how to trust their air element. So it's like kind of elements like that. And then when I want to really kind of work with the earth element, I go to the gym and work on my muscles, or cardio. So it's all in all, like you can see like how many ways actually the elements are present in our lives, but we don't really think about it. And if we don't think about it, we don't give energy to it. And then, of course, when we don't give energy to it, it can't really help us or serve us. So another really important thing with elements is to find out where is your place to live, so that all of these elements actually, work together and support your processes. Like in my case, as we have been now living here in Hawaii, what has been really crucial for me is the possibility to go to, into the ocean 12 months a year. So water element has been very important. So going into the water element here, because we are living on the lava island, we actually have also, when we swim in the water, we can see actually like kind of gel like thick areas, which is actually a direct golden energy coming from, the underground springs into the water. So once you swim through it a lot of times, it kind of starts to like kind of hang with your aura and kind of tries to get in. But the problem is, if you haven't integrated fully your indigo and crystal energies, your golden energies can't get in. So everything has to go like, one goes first and then the second, and then, in an order. So, and that's why it's really important to learn to get to know your elements so that you can support these processes and levels as it goes through from one to another. And when we take also other examples about Hawaii, Hawaii is one of the places which has 10 to 12 climate zones. So you can go up to like 4,000 feet and have like actually snow and cold and all of that kind of weather. And then you can come to the sea level and have like summer eternally all year round. So so many different kind of levels you can work here on. We have rainforest, we have flowing lava, we have ocean, we have mountains, we have old lava. So there are so many different ways how the elements are very like kind of vital and potent here. And because Hawaii is also functioning already on the fifth dimension, which means that basically everything is faster. What you think here manifests faster, and also you are forced to be more authentic here. Like you can't really cheat yourself to be someone else you are not. So it's really important to figure out who you are and what you like to create here when you are here in a way. So within these years, I have also learned how to make these elements work, and where some elements are stronger, some elements are weaker, and then like how to make them work for me. So the four elements here are super present. Just this weekend, we went to visit, Puna side, where lava was flowing for 2 to 3 months last summer, and destroyed, as we know of, like around 700 registered homes and probably even more. Luckily, no people really got injured or died, but driving around in this area and seeing, going to Pohoiki beach and seeing how lava just came through the whole park and then, it just stopped there, and now there is a new beach there. So it took away a huge chunk of land, like the hot ponds were gone and lots of other areas. Lots of people lost their houses, and then it created this new black sand beach. So it takes something and it gives something. So it's kind of interesting, balance like in life. And we also went around a little bit in the area where we could get a little closer look, and it's all kind of blocked away with signs like no parking, no hiking. And we got to see where the fishery 8 was, where the biggest kind of flow was happening the longest time. And also to feel that energy, the fire energy is so potent that if you stand barefoot on that lava, you can almost like start to shake, because it's just so potent and so fresh. This lava is not even a year old. It's just kind of amazing to think. And then you have the road, and then it just ends, and you have the mountain of lava. It's just kind of going up. So being that close to it and seeing like that is does a lot with our earth and fire and air and water element as well. First, what fire element does most of all is it clears and cleanses. Like if something needs to clear, it just pops it up to the surface right away. If not the same day, maybe the next day, or like pretty close. So I remember in 2010 when I came to Hawaii first time to see the lava, the flowing lava, I got as close as like one meter or so, and now I know, of course, that that was a little too close, but luckily nothing bad happened, so we could like experience this. And I came back to Estonia at that time, and 20 people were taken out of my life, like completely disconnected, and I couldn't understand it at the time, like what happened, and I was like really worried about it. But now looking back, this was really necessary for me to clear the path for my life mission with Wantra, and also other changes happened in connection with that. So it was really interesting how wise our inner spirit is if we allow it to work in cooperation with all of our elements and our life mission as well. So um, on that level, it's very important that you figure out, where is your place to live. If you don't yet know, it's really good to go and travel, test different places, different areas, and maybe even if possible, stay in some places for a little bit longer than just a week, maybe a month, 2 or 3 months, and see if it's gonna work, and then make it work. If it works for you and you feel really a call for that matter. And just last week, we did a divine relocation astrology, which can also kind of help and confirm, depending on what you want to do. You can find places on this planet which actually are aligned with your astrology and are going to support your processes in connection to what you want to create or experience. So for me, we found a couple of new places on this planet which I visited, but never had real like kind of draw or connection. And oftentimes these connections come because we go to certain places and we get to know people there. So if you just go and visit as a tourist, you may not actually feel it because you don't have the connection, set up there. So very, very exciting ways of like kind of also playing with elements, like kind of seeing like, oh, this was like kind of suggesting this, area or this country, and then kind of testing it with other different ways as well. So it's like really fun to also play with it to figure these things out. And then also another really interesting thing what happens is, when you are in a partnership, like whether it's a work partnership or you are married, you have your partner, and your partner usually has their elements, and then they start to like play with your elements. Oftentimes it's complementing, one person's element complement others, or they even have similar elements. So it depends, like what kind of persons they are, and what's the purpose of them, being together. In my case with Michael, so we have a lot of complementing elements. He has very strong earth element, which has kind of helped me to integrate my earth element, because many times I try to kind of jump over it. And then I have very strong water element. He has also pretty strong water element. So we can share that water element together, but also now I can teach him some ways like about the fire element and then the air element, even though he has also traveled a lot, so air element has been pretty strong for him as well. So and some different situations it plays in differently, so it's really interesting to see. So now I see that Kaye has showed up. Aloha, Kaye. Very nice to have you here. And then I see, yeah, aloha. So and now, before wrapping it up, I would like to talk about fear connected to elements. So, if you have water fear, your water element can't really integrate fully. So, you have to really face and work with different therapies to go through it and figure out where it's blocked. Because if you are body, your whole body is water. So, if you have water fear, your whole flow in your life will be stuck and influenced by that factor. If you are claustrophobic, you have your earth element is stuck. If you are afraid of heights, your air element is connected to that. And then, I don't know, I guess there is such a thing like fear of fire. So maybe some person who actually died in another lifetime in a fire, so they may be very careful about the fire. So all of these things. So there are lots of ways to work through it. And one of the ways I have helped many clients is my mantra therapy, where people come and then we kind of work through it and figure out also where the roots to that fear is or are. And then everything in their life, also the other elements will change. And one of my favorite things connected to my life mission and my elements is actually to lead the retreats here in Hawaii, because especially to do it with new time people or people who are already in the new time energies. And now recently I've also done it mostly with people who have done online classes with me. It's so easy, like all of the elements play in, they support, and everything kind of flows. So it's just like kind of so easy, and just kind of happens by itself. I always say that Hawaii is the best classroom ever because the magic and things and potency you have here, you can't have anywhere else in the world. So that's my experience. I've traveled to 30 countries. Of course, people have different preferences, but that's my experience. And right now, we're already signing people up for 2020 November retreat, and half of the group is already full with pre-registered people who are interested. So if anyone here listening is interested, so let me know. And also oftentimes people are not really thinking long time ahead, like even bringing now in all the elements. Like, I have an idea, I want to go to Hawaii, this is air element, okay, I need money, earth element, okay, so what can I do? Okay, so now I have this many months left till next year's November. If I divide the cost of that trip into the months I still have, okay, so it makes around like 200 euros per month to put aside. And then if I do that, I create the flow for the water element, and I can live out my passion, come to Hawaii and have a blast and create memories and fairy tales for life. So a really amazing way to look, how elements in our lives are actually working and supporting us if we allow them to. So I'll also give you a homework this time. So if you want, you can, share with me underneath this video if you know and have noticed what are the main two elements of your character, and then what kind of training you are doing, what elements are you including into those trainings. In the new energy, also training has to be enjoyable and connected to your elements. Also, what is the place you would like to live, and what elements are really, like the first strongest elements, like kind of working there. And then also, if you have a partner or partners at work or at home, or even children, try to figure out what are their elements and how they're working. And then also, if you have already figured out your life mission, or are on your way to kind of figure it out, so what elements are playing themselves out from when I do this kind of work or this kind of thing, and what's happening when I do, I don't know, make this product. So it's like really amazing to check these different ways of kind of working with the elements. And if you want to create more abundance in your new time life, then of course all the elements have to work, and you have to figure out how they work, integrate them full inside out, outside in, and then of course also release all the fear connected to the elements. So if you have also any fears to the elements, if you dare, you can also share underneath this video or take contact with me personally, so we can figure out, maybe I can even help you distantly. So this is the topic for today. how actually four elements can become the foundation for your new time life, whether you are already transformed or in a new energy or not. It can really help you in so many ways. And if you notice your elements and put more focus and keep your elements all balanced every day, then your life will be very, very different. So I hope that this was helpful and inspiring. If it was, please share it with at least 5 people. And thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me and my work. And if you haven't heard yet, so this Thursday, me and Michael, we are starting our abundance challenge where we are going to work 5 days every day, going live to talk about different ways our abundance is blocked and how to open this up. So if you speak English, this is the way to go. I will put the link to register underneath this video. So even if you see it later, but you see it before the 25th of April, then you will be able to join. So let us know, and mahalo, aloha, and lots of blessings and balanced four elements: fire, water, earth, and air. Mahalo.